And here's for the buyer side. Here is my buyer broker agreement. This is just stating how much I get paid, how I get paid, and that you chose me to be your agent. Don't worry, I'm not gonna have you sign this yet. I wanna make sure you wanna work with me and that I'd like to work with you. That part is blank because I typically just fill that out to whatever the seller is offering. That'll be my commission. Some agents fill this out as their minimum, but I just haven't needed to, so I'll just take whatever the seller's giving me. Now, if this were filled out and let's say I charged 2.5%, but the seller was only offering me 2, you'd be responsible for the difference. But like I said, I've never really had that occur, so I just leave it blank until we find the perfect one for you. Here's my buyer broker agreement, and I'm gonna need this signed before we start looking at any houses. This lays out my fee, whether it be percentage, flat fee, or itemized bill. If this is acceptable to you and you feel like I'm worth it, then we'll go ahead and get this signed and we'll go from there. Now, sometimes the seller is going to offer compensation to a buyer's agent, and that'll cover it entirely. You don't have to worry about it. If they're not willing to provide compensation, this is what you'll be responsible for at the closing table. Now, this is a negotiable item, and while we're negotiating the contract, we can use this as leverage as well. If you just want to pay me directly, that might help give you the one up on other people writing offers that they need to cover the compensation for the agent. But you can't do this if you're a VA buyer. You're not allowed to pay the compensation directly, but has to be paid by the seller. Even if you're bidding above list price, it still has to appraise in order for that to get rolled in. Now that we have agreed on what I'll be paid, do you want me to show you homes that aren't offering compensation, or do you want me to limit it to anybody that is selling that would cover my fee or a percentage of it? This is a conversation that should have happened. However, the issue was it wasn't happening. So agents started not showing homes for a commission that was less than appealing to them. Whereas now it forces the conversation of, hey, this is my minimum. So if you don't want to pay this, we'll only see houses giving that minimum. If you don't like this, either find a new agent or let's negotiate it. So what would you prefer? Paying the difference or completely avoiding homes that aren't offering that compensation? As I've mentioned plenty before, it's negotiable. However, in negotiations, everybody has a minimum in their mind. Like, home prices are negotiable, but if you're selling for $300,000, you're not going to sell it for $200,000, at least not typically. Agents will know their worth. They'll stick to what they find their value is worth, but don't overpay. If you don't feel like that's worth it, then don't. Find an agent that's willing to do it for the cost that you're willing to pay.